So then I want to move on to this idea that we should have an income that is universal, that everybody should get. And the argument for this, I think one really strong argument for this, is that we have a lot of judgment of people who use programs that are coded as welfare as opposed to coded as insurance. We have a lot of us and them programs. We have a lot of programs that encode a lot of ideas about the type of person who would be using that program. And so it's sort of funny. Think about the bias and the judgment of welfare moms that you read about or hear about if you're watching C-SPAN or listening to folks in Congress, or even just reading a newspaper, right? Nobody ever talks about people taking their Social Security payment and like using it on a golf cart, right? Like wasting it, or using it to buy like Courvoisier, right? Never heard anybody say that. And you know, the universality of the program matters there, right? Like we don't have a really strong idea of who a Social Security recipient is, other than that they're a person who's over the age of 65 or a little younger than 65, depending on when you take it. And so I think another really great way that we can see this is if you look at the Alaska oil dividend, which goes out to everybody in Alaska who has not committed a felony and has lived there for more than a year. No real preconception about those sorts of folks, right? They're just Alaskans. Where again, I think if you think about the assumptions that are embedded in the people, about the people who receive Medicaid, who receive TANF or welfare, who receive food stamps. In the United States, we can actually measure this versus other countries. We hold people very personally responsible for their poverty, despite the fact that there's no evidence that poverty functions differently here than it does in other countries, right? In other countries, poor folks are seen as being unlucky. Here, they're seen as being lazy. And so if you have a universal program, it kind of vaults over all of that.